Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be looking at a new narrative that is really starting to take off in the crypto space, and that is Telegram bots. So we're going to be covering a few of the tokens that have been performing really explosively over the last few weeks. We're going to look at some of the major ones that seem to be getting a lot of popularity, and I'm going to be giving my views on those. And I'm also going to be sharing a couple of tokens that I've actually picked up as recent as today. So if that sounds like something you'd be interested in hearing about, please follow the content, smash a like, hit subscribe, and let's jump in. So I don't know if you've heard about Telegram bots, but they seem to be gaining a bit of attention quite recently. I noticed that CoinGecko have now come up with their own category for Telegram bots, and we can see that the market capitalization is just under $150 million, which is fairly impressive. I mean, the majority of these tokens have really come from next to nothing over the last month or two. And we can see if we look at just the 7-day change here, on the largest token, it's nearly doubled in value over the last week. We've got other tokens here. If we look at like the next sort of 3 of the next 4 by fully diluted value, we can see that they have more than doubled, with UNIBOT here doing a pretty ridiculous return. There's a few others that have done some very high returns as well. And if we just look at the general trend, we can see there's a lot of green on this board. So Telegram bots are certainly starting to get some attention, and it really goes without saying that when Bitcoin is fairly boring and the crypto market is generally going sideways, there's a lot of degens out there that just want to trade something that's moving around, whether that's meme tokens, whether that's Telegram bots, whether that's GambleFi tokens. You've got this generation of degen crypto traders that are just happy to jump on the next thing that's moving. And I really think these Telegram bots are in the process of benefiting from some of that slowdown in Bitcoin, which is making traders turn and say, right, what's hot, what's moving, what has a narrative. And I think we've kind of been through the meme coins. We've also seen the GambleFi stuff, blockchain bets, and what's the other one, Rollbit as well, really take off. And now we're starting to see some of these Telegram bots really start to explode. And we can see with UNIBOT here, like the most popular bot by market cap is actually over 126 million, which is a huge valuation for a bot token. Just on this list as well, a couple that have done really well. This WaggyBot or WaggyBot has really started to take off. You've got LootBot, which I believe is looking at things like airdrop farming, which is nearly 8 million. So that can automate the airdrop farming for you. You've got GENIEBot, which is like an AI tool, which is up at over 3 million. So these are really starting to take off. And obviously we've got a lot of smaller tokens as well here, where there could be a lot of opportunity for upside. Before I actually start diving into some of the tokens individually, I just want to say that this is a very high risk area of crypto. This is a very new sector, and a lot of these tokens are very, very new. A lot of them are less than a month old. Some are even just a handful of days old. So please do apply caution when investing in these tokens. I don't think any of these tokens are necessarily long-term holds at this point. I think this is a narrative that is likely to gain some momentum in the short term, potentially cool off, and then maybe it starts to run again in the next bull run. But I definitely think the approach would be to focus on fairly short-term trading and look to take profits when you see them. And like I say, none of this is financial advice. This is purely for entertainment purposes and for your own information. So let's jump into the first one, which is the biggest Telegram bot, and obviously this is UNIBOT. So we're just looking at a daily chart here, and we can see that this was launched back in June. So the token's been around for 1.5 months pretty much, and you can see that really, it's just been over the last week or two that the price of this has completely exploded from sort of 44 all the way up to sort of 130 today, but went even higher. So I think for me personally, something like this, we've got 130 million on the market cap. It's kind of already run. I would have liked to have got involved in this probably down here between the sort of 30 and 40 range. And we can see that even though it has run, it's tried to come off, but the dip has been completely eaten up. And this chart, even though for me it's looking almost vertical, parabolic, and I think anything that goes up this quick is likely to come down pretty damn quickly when it does break its parabolic trends. You know, for now it's holding up, and I think the fact that UNIBOT is holding up so well does open up opportunities to other bot tokens, and some of those we're actually going to look at now. I was just saying the reason I'm a little bit small on the video today is because the last time I did a video looking on Dex Screener, I was covering over the market cap and the fully diluted valuation and some of these metrics up here. So I'm very much hoping that you can see these and you're not just having to guess what I'm talking about. So the first one we're going to look at outside of the big dog UNIBOT is GENIE. So GENIE has kind of developed a bit of a range here, and we can kind of call this range around about from 0.22 up to about 0.8. GENIE, there's I think a little bit of information down here on it, but it's essentially an AI tool, and it sort of says that you can ask it questions. It will be able to give you a correct answer, it'll be able to give you responses. So it seems like a little bit of a sort of ChatGPT style tool, which is actually going to be applied on Instagram, sorry, not Instagram, on Telegram, and you're going to be able to interact with it, and it's going to be able to answer questions and give you support. So I mean, if we look at what ChatGPT has done and some of the industries it's already starting to disrupt, and some of the use cases it already has, it's I mean, taken the tech world really by storm, and looks set to continue that trend over the next year or two. So I personally think something like GenieBot has a really strong use case, and obviously it has all of these that we're looking at today do have sort of active working products that are live. So for me personally, I think GENIE is probably a fairly strong play. Like I say, market cap currently of 3.3 million. If we were to go from just where we are right now back to the top of the range, you're looking at nearly 150% gain. So that's like I say, that's a 2.5x, which is pretty nice. So yeah, I don't think there's any reason to take any crazy risks with this. But for me personally, I think with something like GENIE and with a lot of these bots, the strategy is really to accumulate down at the bottom of the range, wait for these to establish a bit of a range, and then look to buy support and sell resistance. And obviously, you know, whether you wanted to buy support and sort of cover sort of half the position at the top and leave a little bit to see if it breaks out, or whether you wanted to cover the lot, that's you know, not my decision. But I think, you know, obviously these are your own decisions, and this is not financial advice. But for me anyway, my personal approach is just to sort of buy support, sell resistance, and for me that's more than enough of a return to be making on plays like this that are fairly high risk. So that's my approach when it comes to GENIE. And you know, obviously I would love it to run higher. I think if it was to run higher, I'd be then looking for it to establish another range and actually make a range play on it. But that's just me. Other people will, for example, they'll buy in, say around about like the 32 level. When it gets to 64 and they're on a 2x, they would take out their original investment, and then they would, you know, let the other half of the investment run. Or they might do take out a third at a 2x, a third at a 3x, and let the rest run. There's different ways that you can play this. But yeah, for me, it's really buying support, selling resistance, and not taking any sort of unnecessary risks with my money on these ones. And the next one we'll look at is FRENS. So this is Farmer Friends. So again, this is a bit similar to Loot. This is I guess a competitor to them, a bot that will actually help you with yield farming. Yeah, I think Loot is airdrops, and Farmer Friends is actually yield farming. Let's see if there's some more info here. Farmer Friends seeks to improve and streamline the airdrop farming process. Okay, so it is actually an airdrop bot. I stand corrected. So yes, this is another airdrop farming bot. Like I say, there is an active product. I haven't used it myself yet, and obviously I think actually reviewing the products is a little bit beyond the scope of today's video. However, similar approach applies. You really want to be sort of mapping this out and establishing a range, and you can see anything around about the 0.01 is a area of support that I'd be looking to bid, and up to about sort of 0.023 or 2.2 is an area I'd be looking to sell, and obviously that's a straight 2x between the two. So again, plenty of opportunity there to be able to play a range on this. Personally, I do think that FRENS is one that, considering GENIE's around about 3.5 and UNIBOT's about 130 million, a market cap of about 1.4 is seems fairly good value if FRENS is able to sort of deliver on its product to help those airdrop farmers out there. Another one I've looked at, so we're kind of getting into a couple of tokens now that I've invested into myself. So one of those is Bridge. Bridge had an enormous run up, like absolutely crazy run up, up to around the I want to say 5,000, it's 50,000 level there. It's now all the way back to like the mid 5,000s. So it's gone through what has been over a 90% correction, and it seems to have found some support. So I think for me, looking at this and saying, look, there's some support in here. There's actually some buying interest that has actually come in to Bridge. We could actually see some more buying interest come into this token. The sellers look to be fairly exhausted down here, and I would expect this to run back to the upside. Whether we get all the way back up to our all-time highs straight away, I'm not quite sure. I don't see a reason why we can't come this high. However, it might be more realistic initially to target the midpoint of the range around about 26. That would be just under a 5x from the current price. So I do think Bridge has potential to be a nice reversion play over the next few days and weeks. It's one that I'm definitely keeping my eye on. The next one I've got is AIDEV. So this is one that I was buying around the lows. So we've just obviously seen the setup on Bridge. We can see that AIDEV actually, it pumped up to around about 24. It came all the way back to about 0.2. So again, it's done a similar 90% correction. Buyers have come in, sellers have got exhausted. It started to reaccumulate. It's then broken out above its previous all-time high, and it's gone up to the 0.618 extension. So that's the 1.618, and then it's proceeded to come back down into its range. So yeah, I mean, I was unfortunately asleep when this happened, so I didn't quite catch this, but I was quite happy to sell around the upper part of this range after accumulating so low. It was still a decent return for me. And again, if this does start to come back down to the lower end of the range, it would be something that I'd be interested in buying, assuming that the Telegram bot narrative is still around and you still have tokens such as UNIBOT remaining to perform well, and the ecosystem is looking sort of healthy and they're still getting attention, then I don't see why that wouldn't be a trade that I would want to take. And if we now look at another one that I have been in, this is 0x Sniper. So again, big run up, and obviously you're seeing a bit of a theme here. Then we see the inevitable crash. This has crashed not quite 90%, but still a pretty big sell-off, and it's pumped up again, and it looks like this was a bit of a deviation from the range here, and you would really say that the range is around about 0.0006, so, or 6004, and at the lower end of the range, it does look like it wants to try and hold around about 25s, 30s. But I think realistically, you could kind of say that we could come down lower, to just under the 2000s. So yeah, this is another one I'm keeping my eye on. And again, it's really a case of accumulating at the bottom of the range and offloading at the top, for me anyway. And a couple that I've actually picked up very recently, one is NitroBot. So NitroBot, again, massive run up, come all the way down. Sellers have got exhausted, buyers have stepped in. It's come down again to make a retest. It looks like it's trying to put in a higher low. If NitroBot is able to hold this low and start to grind up, then I would be fairly confident that we will take out this high and then run up again to the top of the range. So yeah, potentially from 2,500 up to around about sort of like 10,000, even maybe 12,500. You know, that's a 4x or a 5x. So lots of opportunity there. Again, I'm putting in very small positions on these not big plays for me. Obviously, liquidity makes it a little bit hard to put too much into them. And another one I've picked up today, and this is very high risk. This is actually the lowest market cap of them all at the moment, is EZSWAP. So we can see that the market cap is only 51, and it's fairly low liquidity. And obviously, this is a token that is that has run up pretty high. So we've gone all the way up to 19,000. We've pulled back down to 4,000. Question is, do we actually come down lower? I guess we could come down lower. We could maybe even come down to around about 2,000. But yeah, this is looking like it's obviously had a big run up to the top of the range. It's come back down to the bottom of the range, and potentially now we're going to see this token reaccumulate as people sort of give up with their selling, or get exhausted with their selling, and then buyers come in and they run it up to the top of the range again. So yeah, just bear in mind that that is very high risk. The token was only launched 12 hours ago, so it's about half a day old. But yeah, that is where I'm going to leave it. So hopefully you've enjoyed that one. Like I say, if you do enjoy the content, please do like, share and subscribe, help support the channel, and I will be back with another crypto video for you very soon.